Hello and welcome to the video version of this week's weekly online newsletter. You know, we are halfway through the year, and in our last session together, our last video, I talked about the kinds of questions to ask yourself mid-year. But this week I want to talk to you about the kinds of questions to ask yourself as you move forward through the rest of this year when it comes to your goals. Because, you know, a lot of times we set goals at the beginning of the year. Sometimes we do really well with them, and sometimes we find ourselves halfway through the year barely remembering what the goals were 6 months ago. So I've got 7 really powerful coaching questions that I want to share with you. And when I say coaching questions, I simply mean these are questions that allow you to reflect and really dig deep for an authentic answer that has the ability to truly move you forward. A big part of what I do at the CAP Institute is training coaches. But in my books, I really try to help you to be able to coach yourself by asking yourself powerful questions. So these are 7 questions really rooted in some of the research in positive psychology about what you need to do to achieve absolutely any goal. So I don't care what your goal is, if you already know what it is, or if you're trying to figure out what it is, these 7 questions are powerful. So here's question number 1. It may seem unrelated to your goal, but it's a really important place to start, and it's this. What are your 3 most important values? Values are the things that you feel are important. Values are what you value. So for example, one of my values is freedom. So early in my career, I knew I wanted to have my own business because I wanted the freedom to be able to create the things that I was passionate about and to create my own schedule and all of those kinds of things. Not surprisingly, creativity is another one of my values. So I have the question for you. What are your 3 most important values? It's important to start here because values should drive your goals, because there's something it's something that's so important to you that it makes the goal more meaningful when your goal is rooted in what you value. So question number 1, what are your 3 most important values? Number 2, what goal would best reflect those values? So when you think of that area of your life where you have a goal or you need to create a goal, ask yourself, what goal would best reflect what I value? What you'll find is that sometimes the goals that you set don't reflect your values at all. It's a goal you should drop. Other times you realize this goal is right in the center of my values, or maybe it's not quite there, but if you tweak it, it could really reflect your values perfectly. Question number 3, what are the quantifiable signs that I've reached my goal? This is about being specific about your goal. Too often the goal is, oh, I'm going to lose weight. A better goal would be, I'm going to lose a pound a week for the next 5 months. You can add that up. That's probably about 20 pounds. And it feels a whole lot more doable than I'm going to lose 20 pounds by next month. It actually becomes about you changing small habits consistently. So when you get specific about your goal, you can get very specific about what you need to do in order to be able to achieve it. Question number 4, what skill do I need to acquire in order to be able to reach my goal? If your goal is big enough, there's a good chance that the reason you haven't reached it is because you don't fully have the skill set yet, or maybe you haven't developed the resources. And the reason I use the word acquire the skills is because sometimes it's something we need to learn personally, and sometimes we need to get help for it. So acquiring the skill could mean you learn the skill yourself. Sometimes it means you pull someone else in who can help you. Sometimes if you have the resources, you might actually hire someone to help you with the goal. You might partner with someone. It might be just a conversation with someone who understands what it takes to get there. The thing here is you don't want to go it alone, and you want to make sure that you don't ignore important skills that are necessary to get to your goal. I think so many people will kid themselves by insisting that they have what it takes to reach a goal when they're actually missing key skills. So be honest with yourself about the skill set that you need to be able to reach the goal. All right, here's the next question. What is my game plan for handling a setback on the way to my goal? What's your game plan for handling a setback on your way to the goal? Expect that on the way to the goal, it's not going to be a straight line. You are going to zigzag. You're going to have setbacks. There will be disappointments. There may be failures along the way. And if you have a game plan in advance for how to handle it, number one, it's not a surprise because you've already planned for it. And then number two, you already know what to do. When you're in a good place and you're able to develop your game plan for being resilient, and then you get to that difficult place, you're basically pulling out your game plan. Okay, I'm going to call someone who's really encouraging. All right, I'm going to assess what went wrong. Okay, I'm going to come up with my plan B. You'll know what your game plan is, but think about it in advance and don't set up the expectation that you're going to get to the goal without having setbacks. That's just a part of the journey. All right, here's the last two. Who is the best person or persons to give me feedback on my methods and my progress? We have to receive feedback. Sometimes it's really hard, especially if you feel insecure, especially if you feel like, oh, I'm trying so hard, and you don't want to hear the criticism, even if it's constructive criticism. But it is essential that you have someone who can objectively look at your work and your progress, that can say, hey, I've been there, I've done that. Have you tried it this way? Or, yeah, I did that, it didn't work. Here's what will work. It will shorten the time frame for you to get to your goal, and it will help you really. Iron sharpens iron, right? So when you have people around you who understand the process, they can help you. Let them help you be able to receive that feedback so you can improve. And then lastly, you want to know this is important. You've got to be flexible if you're going to reach your goal. So ask yourself, what is an alternative path to my goal? What's an alternative path? Sometimes we really get stuck in insisting that the goal has to happen in a certain way, but it doesn't. Be willing to be flexible. The path that you laid out might not be the path that was meant to be, and that's okay. Be open to having an alternative path if the path that you've been pursuing isn't working. There just might be a better way to get to your goal. So that's it. There are your 7 questions for being able to reach any goal, especially your biggest goal, and to be able to do it authentically, strategically, and effectively. So if you want more life coaching advice, just visit me on my blog. It's valerieburton.com/blog. I'll talk to you next time.